Everyone got one?
Hi, everybody. Back for the third time. So this is the last one where we're talking about number and stuff. So today we're talking about quantifiers again, right? So last week we looked at the quantifiers. Do you remember? It was some, a lot of, a little, and a few, right? So we're going to talk about some other ones. So first, we'll review quantifiers, and there is, and we'll do quantifiers, practice, and if we have time, an exit test. But it's not graded. It's just for me to see if my teaching was good. Okay. So, do you remember this from last week? Yeah. And remember, we also did there is. Yeah. So the first one, there is a lot of blank. Apples or rice?
Apple.
No.
Rice. Oh, rice.
Uh-huh.
A lot of rice.
Why?
No, a lot of apples.
Okay.
Comfortable.
So we have there is,
Is
right?
singular.
Then singular. So we have to say right. Yeah.
Rice. Oh, okay.
What about this one? There is blank rice.
Some.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because singular is not for singular, one right no more.
Uh-huh. A few goes for plural, right?
Oh, okay.
Mhm. What about their blank? Is it is or are a few cups of water?
Are.
Cups of water.
A few. There is some water.
There are a few
The
cups. There are a few cups.
Yeah. There are a few cups.
There are a few cups.
Uh-huh. And we know this because of this, right?
Plural.
This is for plural. Yeah. Good. What about this one? There blank, a little blank.
There is a little sugar.
Uh-huh. Because, right, this one, it means small and it's singular. This one, it means small, but it's plural, right? Yeah. Good.
A little sugar.
Oh, I forgot. Yes. So remember last week we talked about there is for singular, there are for plural.
Okay.
And then, yeah. We also talked about these quantifiers. So a lot, a little bit, a few, a little bit, and then some is kind of like medium, right? For countable nouns, we can say a lot of, a few, and some, but we can't say a little.
Not it.
Uncountable nouns, we can say a lot of, a little, and some, but not a few. Does anyone have any questions about this from last week? No. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the new ones. So we're going to talk about these four. So all, every, each, and any. I tried my best to translate them into Spanish. So all, todo, and then these two are weird, right? Because in Spanish we only have one word. Yeah. But then, yeah. So for countable nouns, we can say all, each, every, and any, right? We can do all of them. Same thing for uncountable. Okay, but it gets a little weird because all the apples are, right? Over there, though, we have it singular. So it's a little bit weird. Here, though, it's the same. For countable and uncountable because it has to be singular. So each apple is different, each piece of rice is different, right? So same each and is, they go together. Same thing here. So every apple is different, every kind of rice is different, right? So again, every and is, they go together, right? And then this is where it gets a little bit weird, right? We can make this plural if we have a countable noun with any. So are there any apples? We have are, which is plural, and our plural s. But over there, we can say, is there any rice? And it's singular. We're going to talk more about it, but little introduction. Okay. So we'll start with these.
Increíble. Aquí son con internet.
And some.
Last week we talked about some. It's kind of the middle amount, not specific, right? So some we can use in positive sentences. Okay? So I have some rice.
Yeah.
And then if we want to say the same thing, but we don't have rice, we use any instead of some. Okay? So some is positive, any is negative. So I don't have any rice. Okay? And these, it doesn't matter about singular, plural, countable, or uncountable. We can use it for all of them. So what about another sentence with some? Any examples? Any ideas?
Somebody. Somebody sometimes extend the language. Depend the capacity, the culture.
Yeah, we can add
We
some
can
things
say
to
we
some,
have
change
some
it.
chemicals.
Some chemicals. Yeah, exactly, right? Good, because it's positive. We have those. How would we change it to make it not positive?
We don't have any chemicals.
Exactly, perfect, right? So we can just switch them out. If we have a not, it becomes any from some.
Okay.
Does this make sense to everybody? It's a little bit weird. We're gonna practice, but
So some positive, any negative.
exactly, yeah. And remember, some and any, they're kind of that middle amount. Like it's,
Algunos.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, sometimes.
Okay, so next we have all. So all can only be used with plural nouns or an uncountable noun that's kind of plural. It's a little bit tricky again, right? So for countable nouns, all the apples are different, right? So we have all, S, and R, so it's plural, we know that. But we can also say all the people are different, right? Because when we're talking about this, people, I say all the people. It's kind of plural in your mind, right? Todas las personas, pero in English, we don't add the S, right? But it's saying the same thing. Yeah, so it's kind of like this, but yeah. So what about another example using all? Any examples?
All my coworkers are in class. All my coworkers, or no, are in class.
Yeah, all my coworkers are in class. Yeah, exactly. And remember with all, we're always using are. It's always plural with all, right? Good. We're gonna practice, don't we? So this one is the hardest one, in my opinion,
Each and every.
because the difference is tricky, right? But the good thing is, in grammar, they're the same. In a sentence, they're the same. So it's always for singular nouns, only singular nouns for this, right? So all is only plural, this is only singular. So clean each classroom. So if I'm talking about that classroom, that classroom, that classroom, but I could also say clean every classroom when I'm talking about them as a group, right? It's a little bit tricky. But we're gonna practice it. So think of each as individuals, every as a group, okay? But they kind of mean the same thing, right? You kind of use them similar. Any questions about it?
Yeah, you can say throw each garbage or throw the whole garbage, or every garbage.
Yeah, so if you say like, yeah,
Each one or every
Uh-huh.
one.
yeah, both are okay. That's why it's kind of weird, right? Because we can use both for most situations. You can use both. We're gonna practice with it a little bit because it's kind of a weird one. It's hard to tell when to use both. Okay, here, this explains it a little bit. Right, so all, todo, yeah. But then when we talk about every, we're seeing this as a group, right? So every student in the class, right? It's the whole group I'm talking about. But with each, I'm talking about the members of the group. So each student in the class does their homework versus every student in the class does their homework. Make sense? Okay. Yes, of course. Okay. Finally. So the first one. So I have
Sunrise.
why?
No, it's singular. Singular.
So remember this one?
Singular.
Remember for some and any, we're not talking about plural or uncountable, we're talking about positive and negative, remember?
I have some right is positive.
Some is positive, any is always negative, right? What about this next one?
I don't have any right.
Yeah. So this one, blank the people are nice.
All the people are nice.
But I can say to, no, because every people, no, because you
Yeah.
think
All people are
nice.
All people are nice.
Yeah. What about this one? So we have,
Each bag
has five
has five apples.
why?
You can, it's plural.
This is countable.
You can
Countable.
countable. Yeah, but you can say every bag has five apples.
Yeah, we can say both, right? Most of the time we can use both. So it depends on if we're talking about the apples as a group or individuals, right? I think most of the time, if it's specific, right? So we're talking about the bag has five apples, we'll say each. But you can kind of do both, right? What about this one?
Each bag.
Every bag is full.
Yeah,
Every bag is full.
yeah, I would say every.
Thank you, God.
But it depends if we're talking about the bags by themselves or as a
The
group,
bag is
right?
full,
Yeah.
the food, the chip, the whatever is
So-
Deben the bag.
Next, I want to do
For
some
usage.
practice, but
Yeah.
so I want to do this practice, but I think it might be easier if we kind of do it together. Because it's hard. But I think you guys are good with most of them.
The
It's just
clothes,
each
the
and every,
shoes.
right? Each and every are the tricky ones. So without using any numbers, I'm gonna ask you guys about things in the classroom, okay? So how many students are in the classroom?
How many students?
Yeah, but no numbers. So use a quantifier, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
A few.
There's a few students in the classroom, yeah. What else could we use for talking about the students?
Yeah.
So we can say there's a few students in the classroom. Can we use any of the other ones? Can we say there's some students in the classroom, any students?
Some students.
Because it's positive, right? And it's like some number, yeah? So we have some students in the classroom. We have a few students in the classroom. What about any of the other ones? Can we say like a little or a lot of?
Yeah, little is feminine. and a lot of students in the classrooms.
Okay. I think we could say it. I think there's a lot of people in the classroom. But, yeah, good. So if I'm talking about students, it's countable and it's plural, right? So I can say there's some students, there's a few students, and there's a lot of students, right? Good. What about a sentence with any? Could you talk about something in the classroom and use any?
Do you have any books in the class?
So when, yeah, we need to use negative. So a negative sentence.
Having.
So what would the sentence be?
So if it's negative, if we haven't books in the class.
Uh-huh.
Any books?
Maybe we don't have books in the classroom? Yeah, we don't have.
We don't have any books in the class.
Yeah, because it's negative. So we can say we have some books in the classroom, we don't have any books in the classroom, right? Positive and negative.
Yes.
Okay, what about each and every? Pick one. Can someone come up with an example about the classroom?
Each student are learning.
Uh-huh, each student is learning.
Every student are learning.
Every student is learning, yeah.
Is learning.
And make sure whenever we're using these, remember these are singular.
Oh, okay.
So each student is learning, every student is learning.
Is learning. So both are single.
Yeah, remember, so. Yeah, so remember, each and every are always singular. All is always plural, and any and some are positive and negative, right?
Okay. And some. Positive and negative.
Yeah. Okay, so if I said, can I say there's a little students in the classroom?
No.
Why not?
No.
So what's the problem? Why can't I say there's a little student in the classroom?
Because students are confident. You can
Uh-huh.
count.
Exactly, yeah, we talked about that the first time. So, this uncountable, this countable, right? But they mean the same thing. We can say a few students, but not a little.
And use students.
Uh-huh. What about a sentence using all? Can anyone come up with a sentence using all? All is plural.
Yeah. All students are smart.
All the students are smart, yeah?
All students are wearing their IDs.
Say it again.
All students are wearing their ID.
All the students are reading their ID. Good. What about using a noun that's uncountable? How do we do that?
Uncomfortable.
So maybe something using like, all the children are what?
Yeah.
All the children are playing.
Are playing.
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 Yeah.
Are
So
crying.
we're still using. Yeah. Our plural markers here, but we don't have our S, right? There's no S on children.
No.
But we're still using these with all because it has to be plural right now. Yes.
If I say all time she's sad,
All the time she's sad.
all the time she's sad is good.
Yeah.
The time is countable or time or.
Yeah, because remember for all, we can use countable and plural, but we can also use uncountable. That's kind of pretending to be plural, right? So all the people, we know that people is plural, but it doesn't we can't say 1 people, 2 people, 3 people, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird, yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it?
4:15.
Oh, no, okay.
Maybe we should do the, do you mind coming back next week for the?
Yeah, no, that works.
Okay.
All right. You want to? Sorry, that was okay.
Okay, thank you, Ally.